The following is an account and an after-action report of the Battle of Spug City, a simulated wargaming scenario loosely inspired by the game of Foxhole. This was my first attempt at testing a new workflow and mechanics for conducting these types of simulations. As such, many elements, like terrain details and supply lines, were highly simplified. In further installments, these will be expanded to provide an even more deeply and realistic simulation. Now, let's begin by examining the terrain of the battlefield. It featured wide, open plains dotted with dense forests, a major river splitting the front line, and a key highway route running north to south. Flanking the city of Spug itself, our central objective of the battle, were two mountain ranges, adding strategic complexity to the engagement. The city itself was the only significant urban area in the region, making it a critical point for both factions to control. The objectives. The victory conditions were straightforward but challenging. For the Wardens, the defending faction, hold the city of Spug and avoid losing more than 60% of their armored forces, or 2 full brigades worth of troops, so 8 battalions. For the Colonials, the attacking force, their goal was to capture the city of Spug, or to destroy at least 2 brigades worth of enemy forces. Now, the forces. Let's break down the forces available to each side. The Colonial army was divided into 2 divisions. First, the Vero division, nicknamed the Anvil. It consisted of 6 infantry battalions and 3 artillery battalions. Secondly, the Albo division, nicknamed the Hammer, was the armored division, 5 mechanized battalions and 4 tank battalions. In total, this gave the Colonials 9 battalions of heavy firepower and mobility to press the offensive. For the Wardens, on the other hand, they had the 4th Corps, comprising 4 brigades. Their main offensive force was the 1st Storm Brigade, their most powerful formation. It was built around tanks and mechanized units. On the other side of the spectrum, they had the 4th Reserve Brigade, their weakest unit. It only had an artillery company, not a full battalion. The 2 line brigades, the 2nd and 3rd, fell somewhere in between. Both had 1 tank battalion as an armored reserve, but if they were to come into contact with the armored division of the Colonials, then that 1 tank battalion wouldn't do much. So, on paper, the Wardens had slightly fewer mechanized forces, an equivalent in tanks, and an advantage in infantry and artillery, though only a slight one. They had also the advantage of being the defender. However, their divided command structure and smaller formation sizes overall balanced the scales. The plans. The Colonial strategy was split into 2 sectors. In the west, Vero Division would spearhead a push southwards through the woods, leveraging their 3 artillery battalions to obliterate any resistance. In the east, Alpo Division aimed to secure the highway and surrounding terrain, then to launch an eastward attack to flank the Wardens or destroy their armored reserves if they should be encountered in a similar flanking fashion. The Wardens, in contrast, adopted a more defensive posture. 2nd, 3rd and 4th Brigades fortified the river line, the city of Spug and the surrounding forests. The 1st Storm Brigade, however, pursued an aggressive flanking maneuver deep into enemy territory to disrupt the Colonials' rear and destroy the artillery. Now, let's see how this worked out. We will begin in the west. True to their orders, the Warden 3rd and 2nd Brigades remained entrenched. When the Colonial 10th, 11th and 12th Battalions attempted a river crossing, they were met with devastating artillery fire from the Warden's 24th and 34th Battalions. Instead, the Colonials now redirected their attack into the woods. The Warden 22nd Battalion had dug in, resulting in a brutal battle of attrition. Artillery from both sides rained down as reinforcements poured in. Over 4 hours of relentless combat, the Colonial forces finally managed to break the 22nd Battalion, inflicting over 75% casualties. However, the Wardens had regrouped, with the 23rd and 32nd Infantry Battalion barely holding the line. Central Fort, the city of Spug. In the center, the 4th Reserve Brigade held Spug City against probing colonial attacks. The Colonials eventually committed their forces, sending the 13th and 3rd Mechanized into the city. At the same time, the 5th Mechanized and 1st Tank Battalion attempted to encircle Spug, only to be stopped by the Warden's 21st Tank Battalion. Despite fierce resistance, the Colonials gained ground in the city while forcing the Wardens to redeploy critical armor reserves to reinforce the collapsing lines. East Front, the flanking disaster. In the east, the Warden's 1st Storm Brigade attempted a bold flanking maneuver, hoping to strike the colonial rear. However, they were intercepted by the Arpel Division's tanks and mechanized infantry. Refusing to retreat, the Warden commander pushed deeper, eventually becoming isolated and cut off from friendly lines. The Colonials capitalized on this by fortifying their positions, trapping the 1st Brigades. Attempts to break free resulted in devastating losses, leaving the Warden's strongest formation neutralized. All in all, by the end of the battle so far, the Colonials had achieved significant gains. The 22nd Warden Battalion was shattered. 2 additional battalions suffered heavy losses. The city of Spug was on the verge of collapse, and the Warden's 1st Brigade was trapped and ineffective. For the Wardens, morale was at an all-time low. Without reinforcements or a miracle, they faced defeat.